Hello, everybody. This is Bart Sharp with Becoming Quantum Conscious on United Public Radio and UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 and 105.3. And we broadcast out of the beautiful city of New Orleans, Louisiana. But we're also worldwide through the internet, also through Roku, which you can catch us on cable television and see how wonderful we are with a camera, and other platforms such as YouTube, Facebook, Spreaker, all available to you to see this wonderful show today because we got a really great guest, someone I've heard about over the years as I used to work metaphysical fairs and be in the healing community a lot. And people would always talk about this guy going, you got to do his workshops. And this man is Raymon Grace. And Raymond, thank you for being on the show today. It's just wonderful to have you.
Well, very much appreciate the opportunity to talk to your audience out there today.
Oh, that's great. I've watched your videos, and you just have a very direct message to the world with dowsing, which a lot of people think of dowsing as finding water lines or ley lines and such, which it does all of that. However, it does so much more. And I just wondered if maybe we could start the show. And also, I wanted to say that if you do have questions and comments for Raymond Grace, please bring them on, and we'll ask him to answer those. But we'll just ask what the first question is like. What is dowsing, and how do you use it?
Okay. Dowsing to me is simply the use of a physical object that tells you what you already know, but you don't believe you know it. So you need a physical movement of some object over which you really have no control uh, to get answers. Now, why does it work? I don't have any idea. To me, it's just a boost to your own mental ability. Most people,
Mm.
if they have an idea, they don't really believe it. They say, "Oh, that's just a wild idea that popped into my head." Well, there was probably a reason that you were thinking about it. So, by using doubting, you can get information that you normally could not get otherwise. I'm not saying you couldn't, but I'm saying normally you wouldn't. You can find out practically anything you need to know if you know how to ask the right question. Now that's right there is the big one, is asking the right question. And when I teach a class, I show folks what type of questions to ask. Now, I don't know really where you want to go with this, but I use a bullet on a chain for a pendulum. This is a 45-70, old buffalo gun. I've seen you got one of my 45 long Colts there.
I know it
Okay.
was a gift. It was a gift given to me by a friend of mine named Robin Shepherd of Austin, Texas, who just loves your work and still uses it today. And she brought me that, so uh,
Okay, well that's
I just
good.
had to
Now,
show it. So, how would you use
now
it to say a yes or no question? Maybe that's a good place to start.
um, I avoid yes and no questions if at all
Okay.
possible. Why? Because they are insufficient. I phrase things on whether it's to go to town today before lunch or after lunch, or to go at all, and I ask, what is the result of me doing this? You come to a fork in the road, take it, but which way how do you know which way to go? What's the result of going to the right? What's the result of going to the left?
Hmm.
And if you learn to use my chart, which is available out there on my website, raymondgrace.us, uh, I've got a lot of information out there. I've got about, I don't know how many, maybe 80 films on Raymond Grace YouTube channel. And all
Which
that is free information. Uh,
it,
uh,
and
I've made over 30, over 80 films, and I've
and
given them all away. Six.
But
And
you also sell some of those on your website, isn't that true?
yeah, I only sell
RaymondGrace.org?
yeah, yeah, no, Raymond Grace .us.
.us, excuse me.
Hmm. Yeah, I only sell 6 of them. I gave the rest of them away. They're free on Raymond Grace YouTube channel.
Wow, bless your
Uh,
heart.
so the ones that I have are a 2-day version, or excuse me, a version of my 2-day class is the best way to say it, and one CD, which is a what I call a journey to the spirit world, or a healing journey, and that is based mostly on Native American shamanism of how to
Hmm.
enter. Let's just call it another realm of consciousness. Just keep it simple. Um, dowsing. Uh, Dowsing for most people is finding water, and that's been used for centuries to do that. And there's a lot of folks that are really good at it and have been for a long time. But I got to thinking about it. We've got to do more with dowsing than just this. We can use it to make all manner of decisions with. Uh, we can decide which route to take going somewhere, because if you take the wrong road, you may wind up in a wreck or whatever. You check for safety. Uh, there's a lot of people that hire me to clean up the airport if they're going to be flying. I'm talking
Mm.
about fairly well-known people, and I check to see if there's anybody dangerous in the airport. Is there anybody on the plane, any kind of a hijacker or terrorist or whatever? And
And
yes,
use
we
your
can. We
and
sure
use your
can.
chart to like pendulum on that. I'm using this circle because it's a big circle with a lot of different
Yeah.
responses.
But I don't really need that chart. I've got one here on my desk, and it's handy. But I can dial driving down the road at 70 miles an hour. One hand on the stern wheel, one hand on the pendulum. And my friend Jeff Jones, I talk about Jeff a lot. Um, he
Mm.
will dial strictly with his mind, and he drives faster than I do, so he'll dial with his mind driving 80 miles
Wow.
an hour. And he hadn't used the pendulum in years. So all of this, the pendulum is a tool that helps you to better use your mind and your intelligence.
Mm.
I tell people, do not give your power to a pendulum. Why? Because it's a bullet. It has no intelligence.
And,
The
and and
intelligence is that. So
and
it's
we
a
have a
tool.
question. We have
Yeah,
a
go ahead.
question from Eretz the Art Show, and he says, "Ask him where he got his double bullets." And maybe this is a good
Well,
time to ask that question.
my question is, what do you mean by double bullets?
I hope you knew that.
We need more intelligent questions than that.
Say that again.
We need more intelligent questions than that. Seriously. I'm on this show to give people information. Where I got 2 bullets is of no concern. Go to the ammo store and buy 'em.
A good point. I'm getting you distracted from a very important message. So let's get back to you're using this to get a lot of different responses for just about anything you're curious about. And basically, you're connecting to a greater consciousness than your mind. Is that,
Well, I
am
won't
I?
argue with that. It's probably true. All I keep everything simple. See, Bart, watermelon is the biggest word I know. So I don't get into big word theories. All I want to know is, does it work? If it works, there are no further questions. Keep
It
it simple.
does. Keep it simple. It's very true. Because the great intelligence you have with this is quite phenomenal. And as I read your book, it shows an intuition balanced with intelligence, which means wisdom, and connecting with something much greater than you.
Let's talk
So
about what we can accomplish here, or what we
yes,
have. Um, I've been working to clean up water on this planet for about 35 years. I haven't got it all yet, and I may never, but I've got some of it cleaned up. So when I'm doing a session with someone by Skype, let's say in Europe or Australia, it doesn't really matter where on this planet it is. I'll ask the people, what kind of water do you have that flows out of your faucet? And they'll almost always say, it's terrible. I have to buy bottled water. You can't drink this stuff. So
Yes.
I do a session. Matter of fact, there's at least two films out there on my YouTube channel showing me doing this at a distance. One was in Alaska. That was about the most dramatic one. And I had those folks come down to class here back in the summer and had them tell the story. But what happened, they said that the water was terrible there. And I
Hmm.
said, well, you get a cup and go to the kitchen and fill it full of water and come back and set it in front of you. And let me see what I can do for you. Well, I
Mm.
take it and the face brightened up. It's delicious. Yeah, that was the plan.
Wow.
So I'm probably what 4,000 miles, 5,000 miles from Alaska. So we changed the taste of water for them in a matter of minutes.
Yes.
Uh, I mean, you can't fake something like that. That's real.
This is very true. And it's a much needed gift because the consciousness of water goes through all of us. We're all connected through water. So it's such a big picture you're talking about.
Well, without water, there would be no life on planet Earth.
Exactly.
So years ago, I had read something that there was only about 2% of the water on the planet that was drinkable. Oh, that's because it's been
Wow.
polluted. So I set a goal to clean up the water on this planet. I didn't know what I could do, but I knew I had to try. So one of the first things I started doing was digging trash out of the river. I got a half a mile river flows through my place, and
Hmm.
I started that project. I've got some help on it, and then we started cleaning up things with our minds. And we've my
Hang on.
best
You said cleaning up things with your mind?
well, yes,
You
people,
got
these places. I mean, look, when someone is going into a hospital, I hesitate to say this because I don't need to be bombarded with people from all over the world. That's what's happening now, Bart. I like to help people. I really do. That's why I'm in the business. But I have, at the last look, over 21,500 emails just in one inbox.
wow.
I don't really need any more. So, and they come in all day long. It never stops. Well, I answer as many as I can. So, to you folks out there listening, if you write me, make sure it sounds sensible. Don't write me and ask me to find a lost cat. Don't ask me silly questions because that's what they put delete buttons on computers for, and I use them. But if you got a sick kid or something important like that, yeah, that's got priority. Now
So-
I know I'm blind. I have to be that way to survive. Otherwise, you get bombarded with people wanting you to solve all the problems. It ain't going to happen, folks. If you want to do that, come to a class, buy my films, learn how to do this yourself. That's why I make films. But I
yes.
do like to help people, and I like to put out information. That's why I accepted the invitation to your show. So I've got information out there. A lot of it's free. A little bit of it, six the DVDs are for sale. But learn how to do some of this yourself, and
Yes.
the practice.
Which
That's how I
which
got it.
which takes us to the title of your book. The future is yours. Do something about it.
Mhm.
And that's so much about your message. Let's do something about it together, and let's use
Yeah,
tools that actually work.
I wrote that book about 20 years ago, and some of the information in there was correct then, but may not be correct now. I just need to say that. But
Mhm.
let's get back to talking about water. I was on a talk show with a host in Australia, and he wanted to know if I could clean up all the drinking water in Perth, Australia. Well, you can't get much further away than that. That's on the bottom half and the other side of the world.
It
And that's how
is.
many people are out there? A couple of million. And I said, where do you get the water? Out of a lake up north of the city here. Well, I checked that water, Bart. It was the most polluted water I have ever checked on. Now, I don't mean
Wow.
polluted. this junk and chemicals and so on. It was polluted with demonic forces. I'm serious.
Wow.
And I'd never run into that before. I cleaned up the water, and the man told me, well, there's a lot of pedophilia and demonic worship going on out there around that lake. Well, energy is
Mm.
impressed on matter. Thoughts and actions are energy. Water is matter. So that type of energy affected the water, the entire lake, and it was a pretty good size. So I cleaned up that lake, and out of 40 people that was listening from Perth, Australia, 27 of them wrote me and said the water tasted better. So
Wow.
that's the only way we really know this stuff works is if we get feedback from people.
Yes, it does. And to keep being aware and practicing these type of tools, because this is something that we can all do at home. It's not just Raymond doing it, but it's all of us doing it together.
Well, and that's why I'm happy to be on your show, share information with people, encourage folks, practice this stuff. You might not
Mhm.
learn it all in one day. I didn't. I've been doing this for 30 years, and I'm still learning.
Mm, very true. Very true. Um, so it's interesting as I read your book and you just mentioned it, that water holds different energies or spirits, as you call it. Like you were talking about in your book, one bottle of water that a person had at this workshop did not feel good, basically. And when you doused into it, it was the spirit of greed with that. Um,
Yeah, I run into that sometimes. As a matter of fact, the majority of all water for sale in your grocery store has a spirit of greed in it. How do I
mm,
know? See, when I do a class, I go buy several cases of water uh, for folks to drink while they're in class. So I go through the store and I buy the best quality of water I can find. It's not ever the highest price. It's usually the most economical. The highest priced water with fancy names usually has no life in it at all. How do I know? I've been checking them for years. So there were
mm,
certain types of water, and they're usually the economical brand, and that's what I buy to give out to folks in class. So don't get fooled into thinking just because you pay $5 for a little bottle of water instead of $1 that you're getting really something good for you. You're probably just getting ripped off.
mm. So somebody should be asking when they go to the store, what is the life force of this water?
Actually, the only question you need to ask is the spirit of water in this bottle of water. That's the only question you need to ask.
Spirit of water.
And starting time at the grocery store, you're going to get a no.
Mm. And when you bring the spirit of water back, how do you do that?
Okay, let me just answer your question here. I knew it was coming. It always does, and that's fine.
I
It
like
doesn't matter
questions.
if you ask me how I do that, or if you ask me how I chase the ghost out of somebody's house in, well, let's see, what was it yesterday? I cleaned up a very high level government office yesterday in another country. I won't tell you where.
Okay.
But I depossessed the whole group of people. I mean, there was a lot of them, and these are people who are known throughout the world. Um, but I don't think it appropriate to tell where they were. But anyway, you say, how did you do that? If you asked me, somebody I was working with this morning in London, she had a headache. No, she had a backache. I said, turn around here so I can see your back at the doing a Skype session with her. All at once, the back pain was gone.
Mm,
So the question of how did I do that? How did I clean up this whole government group of people there? How did I clean up water? One word will answer it all: intent.
mm. So it's your intention to change, and the pendulum is the vehicle that helps you make that happen.
The real
And
truth is, I could have thrown this out in the yard and done it with my mind.
ah,
This is simply a tool to kind of hang on to. But do I
Hmm.
really need? No, it's a tool. It's kind of useful, but is it necessary? No. What is necessary is a focused mind.
Indeed.
And don't, for all you folks out there listening, don't fall into the trap of paying $200 for a fancy pendulum that's going to bring you riches and wisdom and all this stuff. You told me not to cuss on here, so I won't. But it's a lie. It's a good thing you told me that. I had another name for it.
Yeah, I have a lot of. There's some words we can't say.
So
It's
don't get
funny.
sucked in like this, folks. Uh, if look, if you don't want, we sell bullets for $20 a piece, bullet pendulums. If you don't want to buy one and don't have $20, tie a nut on a string. It's still
ac-
going to work for you.
Actually, there's a man named Peter Craig who's going to be on the show in a couple of weeks, and Peter does a lot of ethereal work out in the heavens with good and evil forces way beyond uh, human the human planet, and he uses a nut and a string.
Yeah.
Looks like, and it works. He took your classes and then kind of went on his own and is doing fabulous work out there. Uh, and it's changed him dramatically. His being a psychic, I I kind of go into his world a little bit, and my God, it's just overwhelming. And this is a man that is a doctor, still practices a form of medicine, and yet he does all of this pendulum lobe, and it's changed him dramatically. So it's interesting where people put their intentions. But maybe the pendulum, if you're just beginning this work and you do not know how to have that clear, focused mind, it's a good thing to start with.
Oh, by all means, it is. I highly recommend it. I sell them because without a physical movement from a physical object, the people are going to think it's just their imagination or they just made it up. The use of a pendulum helps to confirm that they know what they're doing and they're getting the correct answers. And the only way you know to get you're getting correct answers is right and see what happens. Uh,
Yes.
do I always get the right answers? No, I have missed some things along the line and don't even know why. I don't ever want to give the illusion that I've been right every time because I haven't. But when I wasn't right, I tried to learn something and that it wouldn't happen again.
Mm.
But let's go a little bit further with this.
Yes,
Now,
please.
in class, I teach people how to use a pendulum and move it. It's got four directions: to you and away from you, right and left, clockwise circle, and counterclockwise circle. Well, generally speaking, and there may be some exceptions for some people. And if there are, that's fine. Just be different. And as long as you're right, it doesn't matter. This is a yes going to you. I'll turn around here sideways. Maybe you can see. No, I got to turn this way. This is a yes, and this is a no. This is a clockwise circle. This is a counterclockwise circle. Okay, yes and no is pretty simple. Uh, and kind of insufficient most of the time, but simple. But if you wish to increase something, like let's say happiness in someone, you want to do them a favor, you want them to feel better, send them the spirit of happiness. What will happen? It'll go clockwise. Will they improve? Chances are they will. You may need to practice it, but do I do this for people? Of course I do. All right. Let's say danger. You're going on a trip. You know which road you're going to take. What's the level of danger on that road today? You may get, I always doubt by percentage. And if you get like a 50% danger, don't go. It's real simple. I'll give you a real life example. I had a fellow down in Texas one time that was going calling me. He said, "I'm going out to Denver and I'm going to take I-35 north up to I-70 and head west." I said, "No, don't do that." He said, "Why?" And I said, "I don't know, but there's something wrong with it. Find you another road." He said, "Well, there's another road I can take across West Texas here, but it's not an interstate. I have to take it." When he got to Denver, he called me back and he said, I found out that I-35 was flooded. He'd have never got through. Now, I didn't know that. I just knew it wasn't a good idea to go that way.
Yes.
So
And
I always tell people, check the danger on any route you're going. What I like to do is teach people how to clean up the schools where the kids go to school. Because a lot of kids are not much more than jungles out there and war zones. And it's a terrible situation. And if enough people would actually learn how to douse and follow some simple directions, they can clean those schools up. Now, I want to tell a story. Uh,
yes.
I got a call back in April, a woman I'd never heard of before, who was a school bus driver, and she was crying. And she says, "I just got off the morning run," and said, "The kids are so rude. They cuss me. They just are so disrespectful." She said, "I've never seen kids this bad in my life." Well, I won't get into who they were and where they were from. I'll leave that out. But I could tell pretty quick what was going on. And she said, "I'm going to have to quit. I just can't handle it anymore." And I said, "Well, call me back this evening when you make the evening run." She called back. These are not the same kids. They were quiet. They were respectful. One of them even hugged me when they got off the bus. I did a class in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. This woman was in the class. I said, "Ma'am, do you mind standing up and tell what you actually experienced?" She talked for 15 minutes, telling about the changes in those kids from morning until evening. That's what you can do with dowsing.
Mm. So what did you do to help her in that situation?
Well, first off, I depossessed all the teachers and principal that was in the school, and they badly needed it. Then I found something I had never really found before. Every one of those kids come from, and I'll just be real vague on where they come from, but every one of them lived in a haunted house.
Wow.
I had never run into that before. So I cleaned up their houses. I cleaned up the school. And she said, like I say, the woman talked for 15 minutes on how well behaved and polite the kid was. No, this was a month after I had already cleaned the place up. And she was still making 2 bus runs a day, morning and evening. So she had had a month to observe these kids. They totally changed. This
Wow.
could be done all over America if we had enough people that's got kids in school. We don't need an army. We need one parent or teacher in each school that could do this. And I've got directions on how to do it. I don't think I can clean up every school in the world, and I don't think it's my obligation to do it. What I am willing to do is provide the information with other people that they can do it.
Wow. That's an amazing story. And so this would be in your book, The Future is Yours. Do something about it. This type of directions.
If you ask me a question there, I missed it. Try again.
Okay. Now I was just wondering, could people find this in your book, The Future is Yours? Do something about it.
No, no, sir. Because I don't have a story like that in the book. I've got a lot of good stories
Okay.
in there, but that's one of them. How they would
Okay.
find out how to do that is a video I have called "Change Your Energy, Change Your Life." It's available at
Okay.
Raymond Grace. Yes.
Okay, so that's at RaymondGrace.us. And Raymond, I got to stop for just a second and let people know that you're on the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 107.7, 105.3. And you can also find us on Roku, Facebook, YouTube, and other platforms. My name is Bart Sharp, and this is Becoming Quantum Conscious. And our guest today is Raymond Grace, who is telling us all of these wonderful stories about his passion to help the world and people through dowsing. Uh, so that's a phenomenal story with the bus driver. and that you
Well,
can do this.
and see,
And
the story was much better coming from her than from me. All I would have had to say, this is what I have been told. She's standing there telling it for real.
mm,
So I always like the people I have worked with to be the one that stands up and makes the talk. They're much more believable.
oh yes. However, here we are, and I think it's a great story. And and people call you up all the time or send you emails, and so do some of those people that send emails? Do you just do dowsing on that situation?
I need to explain that.
Okay.
Uh, I like to help people, but there's only 24 hours a day, and there's several million people on this planet. And over, I I told you I had over 21,000 in one inbox. I have
Yes.
34,000 in the box where I have responded to people.
My goodness.
They take time to do. So if 5,000 of you people write me, I'll have to delete every one of them. I don't have time to read them. I don't want
Of
to, but I don't have
course.
any choice.
Of
So
course.
what I'm looking for or not looking for is a whole group of people writing saying, "Help me, fix this, fix that." Uh, and people ain't as smart as I thought they were. I get emails, uh, fix my arthritis, and they give me no clue. They might sign their name Sue or John or Henry or something. They give you no clue where on this planet they are, anything at all about 'em. I thought the human
Mm,
race was smart at that, but I was wrong because I get emails like that every day, and that's
mm,
why they put the buttons on computers.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it
And
sounds it is, but it's just honest.
and I think there's another part of it, and I go back to this title because I just think it's so powerful. The future is yours. Do something about it. When that person picks up and finds a tool such as dowsing and clears their own arthritis, they have this empowerment that can grow on to bigger things. And that's ultimately what we want to do is see all of these people grow and you not be the healer that fixes everybody.
No, no, there's not enough of me to go around. Not a lot. I like to provide information to help people help themselves. But that's not necessarily what people want. They want me to fix the problem, and that's
Yeah.
coming to a screeching halt pretty soon.
So you've been
Because
you've been
go
in
ahead.
healing for a long time. Like in your book, it says 1973. So you've been using dowsing for a good while. We won't count up the years, and it's probably brought you through a lot of different internal processes of higher functioning, higher vibration. I just wanted to ask you what goes on what goes on inside of you when you put that intention on something and start dowsing. What does that feel like?
I don't think it feels any different than doing anything else.
Hmm.
Another thing now, you're right, but not totally on this. I have
Okay.
been doing healing work since '73, and that is 50 years ago. It don't that's easy as math. But I only started dowsing 30 years ago. So
Okay.
I went through 20 years of doing hands-on stuff, some shamanism, whatever I could learn. I learned some things from Jose Silva. I learned a lot from him. And I used some of his methods. I used shamanism. And in '93, I learned about dowsing. So that's when I incorporated that. And quite frankly, that's when things improved tremendously.
Hmm. That's wonderful. Um, I was just wondering, would it be possible to do a dowsing exercise, perhaps on water, in some
Well,
context?
I don't. I don't think I want to get into that
Okay.
because first off, I don't know that I'm going to teach anybody anything, but doing
Hmm.
that. And what I well, but how much feedback are you going to be able to get? See, I'm really not willing to
Yeah.
put much out
Uh,
there.
okay. Good enough.
Hey, I'm on a Skype show. I'll talk to you later. Come on down, bring a bullets if you got them. Okay, I get calls every now and then. Can't help it. I took the other phone away. Thought that would stop this, but it didn't. Uh, okay, life goes on like that. But no, in order to dial something, if you had a glass of water out of the tap sitting there on your desk, yeah, we'd do it. As far as trying to do it to an unknown audience, and there may be thousands of people probably will be watching this in the future, I
Yes.
don't think we're going to accomplish that much.
Okay.
I think we're better off just putting out information for people.
All right. Well, I can certainly agree to that. And so, if people wanted to change water out there, they went down to their local lake or local river, or just to the water source in their faucets. How would they begin that?
Oh, okay. I've got an answer for that right now. I made a
Great.
special DVD simply to energize water.
Hmm.
Okay. I said it was a DVD. I get my terminology mixed up. It's a video.
All
Okay.
right.
It's available. Grace.us. And what I did, I put an intent into that film that if the person doesn't really feel confident in what they're doing, play the film with the intent that what I'm doing in that film is applied to your water that runs out of your faucet and see if it changes the taste. And yes, it does.
Wow. So I could just take my pendulum and I have a glass of water and just start to say, it just
No,
automatically goes to clockwise
no,
direction. No?
no. I mean, no. But what I'm saying is, if anybody has got bad taste in water, and millions of people do,
Hmm.
try the film. Now, I'm not going to say it'll work for everybody, but this is what I've designed it for, and I've gotten good feedback on it. Play the film with the intent that what I am doing on that film is being applied to your water source.
Okay.
And now let's go a step further. I've got a lot of stuff out there that makes things easy for people if they just use it. The film on doing exorcism, and we might get into exorcism a little bit if you want to, but not
Oh, I
much.
love that.
But okay, but I made a film showing people how to do exorcism. And I said, if you don't feel brave enough to do this yourself, simply play the film with the intent that what I'm doing is applied to your home, where your kids go to school, or the place where you work. I've made it as simple as I know how to make for people to use it.
Yes. And it just sounds like you just really need to practice.
Well, they don't really have to practice that much to play a film. All I
Right.
have is need is the intent to use my energy in that film,
Hmm. Hmm.
up the water, clean up the kids' school.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that. And I would like to see more people using different tools, because if somebody starts cleaning up the school, or an exorcism, they would change their own life as a result, because my guess is that the more you douse to change, it changes you. Your life improves.
Yeah, yeah. The biggest thing that folks need is self confidence.
Mm,
And whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right. We just need more people believing they can. We don't have a shortage of information. We have a shortage of people with the initiative to put the information to use.
exactly. It's so true. I like to think of it as just kind of play. It's fun. It's fun to do energy work of different sorts, whatever that is. And I change and I get better every time I help somebody else.
Well, yeah, yeah,
It's
that's the way it works.
yeah.
Um, so what I really promote more than anything else is clean up the water on the planet, so our grandkids and their descendants will have decent water. That's why I
Yes.
started doing this, because I realized that it's not getting any better. Somebody's got to do something. I volunteered for the job. I didn't know what I was doing, but I didn't never let that stand in my way. And the same thing about schools. Schools are basically war zones. If you doubt this, just watch the news. I don't watch the news much because I don't like to watch things that mess with my mind too much. I live as a hermit, Bart. I live way out here in the Appalachian Mountains, and nobody's around close, and I can live the rest of my life on my own land back here. Nobody ever see me.
Sounds wonderful.
So only time I go out anywhere is to teach classes, and I might have 40 people in a class, and that's the only people I'm ever around. And by living in nature, you have a different mindset, and well, everything is just different out in the woods, I guess. But back to this right here, you try some of the stuff I'm sharing with you here, and see what you can do with it. No doubt in my mind, you can do miracles with it. But we don't have a shortage of information on solving some problems. Now, some I'm not going to say I can solve all the problems in the world
Yeah.
because I haven't done it yet, but I have information that will solve quite a few of them. And we work on people's job where they work. Maybe they got a bad boss or something, and we clean them up, do an exorcism on them. That's usually what is needed, and take away a bunch of aggressive characteristics they have. Next day, they're a nicer person.
Mm.
Now, there's going to be some people out there. No, I better not say this because I can't say it the way I want to say it. So I just probably better leave it alone. But well, let me maybe try to censor it a little bit. People say you are interfering with another human being. Well, the polite
That was
answer is yes, I am, and I'm good at it.
that was exactly the thing that was on my mind in that moment, Raymond.
Okay. Now come to class one day. You won't have you there to censor me in class. I can say what I want to. Ah,
Yeah.
But
I
but seriously, uh, uh, Bart, all this is about empowering the human mind. That's
it
it in a nutshell.
and going back to this last comment about, well, am I intruding on people? I like to think of it as more like you're getting entities off of them that probably don't belong to that person anyway. They just attach to them. But the way you say it, I really like this terminology. You say the spirits of greed or the spirits of fear or and such as that. And the way that approach is that you are changing a vibration of an emotion that lives in them. They can still choose to go back there, but if you clear that out, they have a better choice to choose something else.
Well, that's true. You made it a little more complicated than I would. I just take that energy and turn it into self love.
Yeah.
Why? Because most people's bodies do not have love in them. How do I know? Because I work on many hundreds of them. And the spirit of love is just not there. So I tell people, look, every day thank the spirit of love for being in your body. That's a pretty simple direction
Mm.
that most anybody can do. It's amazing what it will do for your body. Look, Bart, I'm older than dirt and tougher than nails. And how'd I get this way? I practice what I teach.
Yes. And it really emanates with your spirit of love that you work with so many people and you work it every day, it sounds like. That's just
Yeah,
life for you.
yeah. The mail never stops coming in, and
Yeah. That's love.
so yeah, I work with people every day. But see, that's how you get practice. There's a book out there called The Outliers by Malcolm Gladwater, and then a statement in that book says every star athlete has practiced at least 10,000 hours. Well, what does that tell me? It tells me that somebody's not going to pick up a pendulum, spin it 3 times, and say if this stuff don't work, and put it back in the box. They're
Yeah,
never going to get any further than that. So if you want to get good at something, you got to do a lot of it.
that's right.
Mhm.
That's what do they call it? After doing something for 7 years, you develop a level of mastery. You become a master. 14, you double that
I've
mastery,
been
and
doing
so
it
on and so forth.
7 years.
How
I've been
many
doing it longer
years?
than 7 years. I wouldn't claim to be a master.
Well, that's in your
Say again,
humility.
please.
When I would look at you,
I
I'd
missed
say,
that.
yeah, you're a master. When I hear people talk about you, they say, yes, this guy's a master, and I get a lot of enthusiasm from him. But it's only in your humility, which is very powerful. It's another form of love that you say, I don't know. I don't know if I'm a master. Uh, so
Well, Bart,
that's
you got to take what you feel about me and divide it by two.
how's that? So I got another question for you. Do you do anything at work with the earth itself, the dirt, the ground, the fields?
A little bit, and I wish I knew a lot more about it than what I know. I can't really talk on that enough to really say very much. Uh,
Mm,
I do grow some pretty decent gardens. I've got about 12,000 square feet of garden space, which I do kind of alternate some. And
mhm.
overall, I grow pretty good crops. I won't say perfect, but the crops vary from year to year. Now, year before last, I gave away about 100 gallon of tomatoes. I mean, that was after we canned all we wanted, and we just didn't need any more. And there was some families lived down the road. We noticed they didn't have any tomatoes in the garden, so I said, "Come on up here and bring some buckets and get what you want." I think I got about 100 gallon of them.
Wow.
I sometimes walk into the post office, 5 gallon bucket of tomatoes, and set them up on the counter and say, "Get what you want." And I do the same thing at the bank. When I got more stuff and I know what to do with, I just take it out and give it away. Uh, but this year, uh, it wasn't the best year. We were okay, but it wasn't nearly as good as it's been in the past. So,
Mm,
is there something else we can do to the earth that would change it? Probably, but I don't think I'm smart enough to talk about that right now.
I understand. I have some friends that are really studying mushrooms and call it the mycelium network and say that the mycelium network goes through all the land. Whether you have mushrooms on your property or not, there's still the spores of mycelium going through everything. And just food for thought that that might be, boy, that feels really strong, a good topic to work with. Um,
Well,
I'm just
school, a
bringing that
lot of
up. I'm
places.
not I'm not I'm not trying to school you in anything, but I'm just food for thought for the audience that want to work with the earth, which I do. Um,
Well,
I think I'm gonna practice some dowsing with that.
well, it won't do any harm.
Won't
I
do me any
checked the
harm.
pH of soil. You can check most anything really, but I just check to see what the pH is. And I've got a story I want to tell here on plants. I'm proud of this story. It's one of my favorites.
All right.
It goes back about 10 years, and I've told this story a lot of times. I haven't told it on your show, but maybe we'll reach a few more people with it here. But I received a phone call one night from one of my farmer friends about 100 miles away, and he said, "I need some help." And I said, "Well, I'd be glad to help you. Tell me what you need." He said, "Well, I had some weeds in my alfalfa field, 20 acres of alfalfa." And he said, "I called the farm supply store to come out and spray for the weeds. The truck driver picked up the wrong jug of chemicals, not knowing it at the time, and sprayed 20 acres of alfalfa with Roundup."
Oh my God.
And I said, "Well, how long is it going to take to solve this problem?" He said, "A year." I got to plow it all up and reseed it. Well, alfalfa seed is expensive. Not only that, he just lost a hay crop for his cows for the entire year. That is enough to bankrupt a small farmer. And I'm thinking, okay, what can I do? Because sometimes I just don't know what to do. And I said, don't plow it up for 2 days. Give me 2 days and let's see what happens. Well, I didn't hear from him for a month. A month later, he sends me a picture. They cut alfalfa. Where normally it might have
Wow.
been 2.5 feet tall, it was 4 feet tall. He normally gets 3 cuttings a year off that field. That year he got 5.
Wow.
Now, there was something he didn't tell me, and I'm glad he didn't, because if he had told me, this would have never happened. There's such a
How's
thing as
that?
knowing too much, I guess.
Yeah.
I thought that the field had just been sprayed an hour or so ago with the Roundup. But no, it was sprayed a couple of 3 days ago or longer. And there was not a single alfalfa plant living in that field. Not one.
Wow. So
It all come back to life.
can you
Now, if
share
I
some
had
of this?
known that, I would have, there was nothing I could do. But since
Uh-huh.
I didn't know it, I think there might be something I can do. So what I did, I took the Roundup, changed the vibration of it, and turned it into fertilizer.
Wow.
Now I did it
Wow.
simply because I didn't know the whole story. If I had known the whole story, I would have said, "There's nothing I can do for you." That shows what you can do when you don't know you can't.
Wow. That's such a
That's
powerful
probably my best
story.
story.
That's a great
Yeah, I've
story,
got a
Raymond.
saying. I got a saying about farmers. It goes like this: "It's bad manners to cuss a farmer with your mouth full."
We need, farmers can really need help like that. Uh, the land is having problems. It's been overfarmed. A lot of things going on there, and it's just a great story about how we can empower our land. Um,
Yeah, it
that's
is. I didn't
amazing.
know it could be done. We did it. I've got another friend in South America with a tree farm, and he contacts me fairly often. They need rain. Well, I talk to the spirit of the rain. It don't necessarily fall the next day, but it usually comes along in enough time to save the trees from dying.
Hmm.
I mean, he
Hmm.
still got trees there on his place. So then we had a case up in Manitoba, Canada, that the rain would come in so far and stop. I've never understood this one, but the rancher contacted me, and I said, "Well, I don't know. Let me see what I can find. I'll tell this, but I don't really understand it." There was an energetic wall up there that was stopping the rain.
Wow.
I took the wall down, and the rain come on. Who put it
Wow.
there? I have no idea.
But it was there. Wow. That's an
But I mean, I
amazing
got all
story.
kind of weird. This
And
show today,
it,
it's been pretty mild,
well,
but
I would love for you
they
to
get a
come
lot of.
back. I would love for you to come back in the future and tell some of your weird stories or weirder. These are just amazing, and people need to hear them. And hopefully more people will be inspired. And also they can find this stuff on your website, RaymondGrace.us, as well as the Raymond Grace Foundation.org. and you can start listening to these stories and learning techniques on how to do this and change your life, change the water, change other things that are around you. And all I can say is if you're not doing anything to help change the world, we invite you to start. I'm going to say closing statements, Raymond, and I'd like you to end it after I do closing statements with a message of what you'd like to tell the audience as a parting message, whatever that is. And so we have Raymond Grace on today at raymondgrace.us. And this is Becoming Quantum Conscious. I am Bart Sharp, and we are on the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network out of New Orleans. And also, we are on Roku, YouTube, Facebook, and other platforms all around the world. And please, if you're interested in this work, get in touch with Raymond. And he does workshops all over the place, and you will learn some valuable tools with him. So, Raymond, what parting messages do you have with everybody?
Well, there's a common question that I get a lot of times. People will ask me, can I do this? Can I stop my dog from barking? Can I cause it to rain on my garden? Can I chase the flies away? Can I get the ants out of my kitchen? I have a standard answer. Try it and find out. That's how I learned.
Exactly. Something magical comes out of you when you start doing it and trying it and finding out, and you just get to see what magic you're made out of.
Well,
Raymond,
I want to thank you for the opportunity to be on your show today. It's been fun.
oh, it's been such a pleasure having you, and I hope you're willing to come back sometime in the future to have another show with us and tell more stories about your interactions with dowsing and change and magic and whatever else you want to share. Thank you so much for being on, Raymond.
My pleasure. Have a good day.
All right, we'll see everybody next week on Becoming Quantum Conscious.